What would you say to the curious and the cautious getting involved in the space?
So the curious and the cautious should be the same person, right? Everybody should be curious, everybody should be cautious. You can't have one without the other, okay? So when I speak to the curious and the cautious, to be honest, I'm just speaking to everybody, right? So the first thing that you need to do if you're gonna get into crypto, NFTs, DeFi, anything in this realm is look for problems. Look for a problem that you resonate in this industry that's being solved, right? Don't jump into anything if you don't understand the problem that different problem or that different solution is bringing to the world, right? So obviously start with Bitcoin. Understand Bitcoin. What is the problem Bitcoin is solving? Raise your hand if you even know the problem that Bitcoin is solving. Like 7 people, right? We're on this stage to talk about DeFi right now when nobody in this audience even knows the problem that Bitcoin is solving. So the only thing that matters for you guys right now is to understand, how many of you guys understand blockchain? Raise your hand if you fully understand the solution that blockchain is bringing. I'm seeing some of this, I'm seeing some of this, right? We're on this stage to talk about DeFi, but what you guys need to learn to understand first is what is the problem that Bitcoin is solving? What is the problem that blockchain is solving? And then you can move on to learning about Ethereum and smart contracts and these different DeFi protocols where you can take a loan against different things like Aave, what you were talking about before. So what's the common theme of everything that I've just said? Understand the problem, because you can't move anywhere in this space without first identifying what the problems are, right? So that's the main one. And then know how to do the research. And honestly, the best thing you can do is find somebody that already understands the problems and learn from them. There's a ton of educators out here. So to the cautious and to the curious, start by understanding the problems that we're actually going into and heading into solving is the first thing that you should do.
So to jump into something that clearly very few people know, what is the problem that Bitcoin is solving? Go ahead.
How much time do we have? So Bitcoin can most easily compared to gold is really what we're looking to do. It is a store of value, but more important than that, it is a neutral reserve asset. What does that mean? A reserve asset is something that we hold to keep our value where it's at. That isn't under the control of inflation. And since it's neutral, it isn't under the control of the decisions of any one party, such as the US dollar. It is under the value of the US dollar is 100% under the control of what the US government does. Right? So the money that we work incredibly hard for, you guys go to work for 40 hours, 50 hours, 60 hours a week, and you get paid out in US dollars. And the value of that US dollar is under the control of the individuals that made it. And there's nothing actually backing that money, just like how there's nothing actually backing Bitcoin. The only thing backing it is trust. Same thing with gold. The only thing that backs the value of gold is everybody agreeing that the value of gold is what it is. Same thing with Bitcoin. But we're moving into a digital world, right? The metaverse. Most people don't even really know what the metaverse is. It's just, if you look at your phone, you're looking into the metaverse. If you're looking into a computer screen, you're looking into the metaverse, right? So we have this transition into the digital world. So our neutral reserve asset needs to also transition with that. And that's what Bitcoin is. And if we're comparing it to gold, Bitcoin is far more transferable. You can't even transfer gold unless if you're in person with somebody or you ship it using a third-party intermediary. Bitcoin can be transferred without a third-party intermediary. Gold is not easily divisible, which if you have a currency, it needs to be easily divisible. There's 100 million Satoshis in one Bitcoin, just like how there's 100 pennies in $1, right? And gold is also infinitely more easy to store than gold. How much money does the US government spend housing all of the gold in Fort Knox? They have thousands of military personnel that are responsible for holding that there. They have flooding mechanisms built in place that if somebody breaks in, then they can flood all of Fort Knox. How much did that cost? We're spending millions or maybe billions of dollars to protect our gold, when the same value that is held in that gold in US dollars, if that was transitioned into Bitcoin, it would cost the government $0 to hold. And if the US government is looking to transition their US dollar onto the blockchain to be a central bank digital currency, which China's already done with the digital yuan, then wouldn't it make sense for their neutral reserve asset, instead of being gold, to be Bitcoin, to also be on the blockchain? Why would you want to segment your neutral reserve asset from your currency that you are trading on a daily basis? In my opinion, it only makes sense. Every single sign points to us moving towards Bitcoin as being the main neutral reserve asset of the whole world.
Yeah, give it up for him, yeah.
What is a use case of DeFi in the last year that's kind of evolved that you're most excited about?
So the big thing is the peer-to-peer exchange that's taking place, right? And the ability for us to have decentralized autonomous organizations, which is a big word that you guys might not be too familiar with. I guess it's 3 words, a DAO, right? So the ability for us to take businesses that previously used to take thousands of employees to run, when transitioned over to a DAO as a business, which is actually a legal entity in the state of Wyoming, that's been passed, that's a thing. So the government is recognizing DAOs, decentralized businesses essentially. We have a company called Coinbase, which everyone here has heard of. Raise your hand if you've heard of Coinbase. There we go. Way more people know about Coinbase than understand Bitcoin. So Coinbase has thousands of employees, right? And there is I guess you could call it competitor, a decentralized version of Coinbase where you can swap your coins on it called Uniswap. How many people here have heard of Uniswap? A lot of people. Perfect. Now, Uniswap's probably the most popular decentralized exchange out there. It's definitely one of the most well-funded and one of the most innovative. And Uniswap has about 48 employees, I think, inside of their business. And they actually do a very similar number of daily transaction volume per day with 48 employees versus Coinbase, who has thousands. So if we're looking at it from a purely business perspective and a business efficiency perspective, which is where innovation goes, right? The businesses drive the innovation of the world, so we will always go towards innovation that makes the world and businesses more efficient and saves them money. So if we're able to do 97% more effective business processes by running a DAO as opposed to a normal business, that's one of the most exciting things, because that's going to drive innovation, because businesses drive the innovation. Real quick, I want to add on to what I said about like Uniswap and Coinbase. And the other thing that's really exciting is that when you make a trade on Coinbase, who gets the trading fees? It's Coinbase. They get paid out those trading fees, like 3%, which is pretty high. Uniswap, there's like a 0.03%, we'll say, trading fee. It's called a swap fee, though. And the people that get paid those fees are the people like you and me and Jordan. Like, it's us that get paid those fees. Now, if we extrapolate that into a bigger picture, we're now seeing a dissemination of wealth in a much more effective way that's ever been possible before. Maybe even the potential for DeFi to help to shrink the wealth gap that we have today, if we really think about it. Because instead of all those trading fees going to one company like Coinbase, and then giving that to their high-ups in the company, and we're creating a bigger wealth gap by doing that, by them then siphoning money outside of the system. And this is an example that can be across every industry, not just Coinbase, right? When we have these third-party intermediaries that are centralized, that are sucking money out of the system, it doesn't leave as much money to go around to everybody else in the world. And that is one of the biggest advantages that DeFi brings to the world as a whole, is the ability for us to disseminate money in a more effective way that brings everybody into the game and not just the few.
Amazing. So I had promised at the beginning that I'd ask about your secret sales technique, some of the stuff that you know. Unfortunately, we're out of time. That being said, I'm sure you can find any of these three gentlemen afterwards throughout the day. Ask them for some of your secret sauce, you know, some of the stuff that they're teaching people that they bring to the table that's super unique. Thank you guys so much for coming. Thank you guys for giving a listen. I hope you learned a lot. Thank you.